Welcome to Season 2 in rebuilding Blackburn Rovers. And after last season's unexpected success of getting promoted to the Premier League and comfortably promoted, this season it's all about survival. Let's just not get relegated. Let's have a look at how Season 2 went. Okay, so before we go anywhere, I just want to address something with the aspect ratio from the last episode, from episode 1. No idea what happened with that. I certainly didn't change anything on my OBS settings or anything else, but for some reason it came out looking a lot smaller than a normal video does. Hopefully that is fixed in this episode. Also, I want to say a massive thank you for your support on the last video. The views were amazing. So hope you carry on enjoying it. Please leave likes on the videos. It helps push it out to even more people. That would be amazing. And obviously don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Right, let's get on with this particular video. And Season 2. We are now in the Premier League. And if we go to the competitions side of it and have a look at the season preview, we are expected to finish 19th. We are 600 to 1 to win the league. Basically, the game gives us no chance. I've had that before. For anyone that watched my Aveley Road to Glory series playlist on the channel, we were regularly expected to be relegated. We were regularly expected to be bottom of the table. In our first season, we finished 17th, avoiding relegation, I think, on goal difference. And I'll take that again this season. As long as we don't go down, that's all that matters to me for Season 1 in the Premier League. We have made a few transfers. If we have a look at our transfer history, we can have a look at players going in and players going out. If we go back to what comes in at the end of last season, is there anything? Right, so we've got Jalil Sadi has gone to Barnet on a free transfer. Doesn't really have much impact on us. Charlie Weston has also gone on loan to Blackpool. Most people probably not going to know who he is. Our big signing so far this summer, though, James Garner from Everton. 20 million we're paying for him, potentially raising to 32 million. 23 years old. He's 4.5-star current ability, 5-star potential for our team. He just looks a really good, rounded player, and he's a tireless midfielder, which is what we need. He'll play in this role here as the deep line playmaker. We'll show you how the team looks in a moment, but he can also play in a ball-winning midfielder role to the same standard if need be. So really pleased to have James Garner in at the club. Welcome to Blackburn Rovers. Then we get into, since it ticked over to the new season, Willie Kambwala. Man United fans will know who he is. Some of you that are non-Man United fans may have seen him a little bit this season already. In game, he's a 19-year-old Frenchman, no caps for France. He can technically play anywhere across the back, so it gives us massive flexibility. He is preferred as a central defender. He has some improving to do, let's say that, but he is 2-star current ability with a 4 to 5-star potential. And considering we got him on a free transfer, even if it doesn't work out, we get to sell him for anything between 5 to 10 million. That's a bonus for Blackburn. But I do love to bring in young players that have oodles and oodles of potential, and he certainly fits that bill for me. We'll see him in stages this season. Archie Brown has come in from AA Gent. Let me know in the comments how you say that. Started off life at West Brom, moved on a free transfer to Derby, never worked out from there, didn't play for them. Went to this club in Switzerland, then went to Lausanne, then he's gone to AA Gent, and now he's with us. We are the first club to pay a transfer fee for him, 8.5 million. 4-star current ability with 4.5-star potential, still got a little bit of room for improvement. He is a left back, pretty tall, great jumping reach, reasonable heading, could be quite an influential person for us at set pieces. He likes to get forward down the left-hand side, and considering we do like wing-backs that get forward, I'm quite for that. In fact, what I'm actually thinking of doing, I might actually put him down as support, him on attack, and then obviously we just need to swap this over from inside forward attack to support. Inverted winger. Do we do an inverted winger or a winger? We'll keep it as the inverted winger. and we do that on attack. So basically just swapping those over. So this is how the team looks at the moment. Obviously, Willie Kambwala is not quite in the team, which we will actually fix right now, because I do want him in there for pre-season at least. So if we can get Kambwala there you go, lovely jubbly. So this is how we look at the moment. There's obviously room for improvement. I'm not too worried about improving on Harry Leonard up top, because he's 20 years old. He's a youngster. He's got 5-star potential again. He done pretty decently for us last season, 15 goals in 37 appearances, and those 37 appearances as well, 34 of them were starts. So I'm quite happy with him. Sammy Smodic was amazing for us last season. We go to him 17 in 39 with 5 assists, 7.08. He really did a cracking job. The fact that we got him for only $2.5 million from Peterborough season before I arrived, yeah, really happy with Smodic. Hedges, Sigurdsson done pretty well. I am quite happy with our attacking options. I do want to see if we can improve the right back. At the moment, we've got Callum Britton and also Joe Rankin Costello that can play there. Obviously, Kambwala could go up there as well if we wanted to. Hayden Carter can play there. We've got options, but I'm looking for that 4-star right back, even 3.5-star right back, just someone that improves us defensively. And it's really about trying to move a few players on. There's other players like Sam Gallagher we want to get rid of. He wants to leave. We want him to leave. I'm not really interested in a loan. I'd rather he went out on a transfer. Thomas Bloxham as well. He never really featured massively for us last season. In fact, he was out on loan for part of last season. Be quite interested in getting him gone. There's a potential that Hayden Carter could go. Joe Hilton is a third goalkeeper. I don't really want him here, so if we can get him out of the team, that would be great as well. And then it'd just be a case of bringing players in to strengthen the team, and those that are in the starting 11 at the moment, then dropping down to backup. If we look at finances, we've got £455,000 in the bank. That will start going down pretty quickly, I'd imagine. We do have £18.5 million left in the transfer budget, and we have around £20,000 left in the wage budget. So not much wiggle room for the wage budget, but we can move things about if need be. We could potentially look at the loan market as well, which I tend to look at that more towards the end of the transfer window, because then you've got players that realise they're suddenly not important to their club that suddenly become available for loan. So we'll look at that as well. But in terms of our schedule, we've got our friendlies lined up, and we start the season at home to Aston Villa, away to Sheffield United, who are relegation favourites, at home to Tottenham. Then we've got a Carabao Cup second round game before going away to Newcastle and away to Fulham. So there's a couple of winnable games in there. Sheffield United definitely, Fulham definitely. Villa potentially could be a winnable game. The fact is at home as well. So we're going to be looking for 40 points. We're going to be looking to avoid relegation. I will meet you back here just before the first game of the season against Aston Villa, where we'll have a look at what players have come in, what players have gone out, any other news that there is to bring you. And yeah, I'll see you here for that. Welcome back. It's game day, and according to the season preview, I don't think it's been a particularly good pre-season. We've gone from finishing 19th at 600 to 1 to finishing 20th at 700 to 1. So I don't know if that's we've got a lot worse or Sheffield United have got a lot better. But according to that, we are absolute favourites to instantly go back down to the Championship, which, if it does, will probably mean we won't achieve our aim of winning the Premier League with Blackburn Rovers inside 5 years. Remember, that is ultimately the aim for this rebuild. Now, we're going to go and have a look at transfers. We've got a couple of transfers that are still happening. So Jordan Eastman is a 22-year-old goalkeeper for us. He's in our under-21s at the age of 22. Someone's come in for a bit of a loan offer for him. I thought, might as well just let him go. He's obviously never going to feature for us. So Cheltenham have come in. Bit of a loan, paying 70 to 80% of his wages. Yeah, he can go. Jared Horlock is a bit of a jack of all trades, can play in a lot of positions. Gillingham have come in for him for a loan until the end of the season. Not paying anything for him, but we're not going to play him, so we might as well go. Albert Docina is a player that we are very much on the verge of bringing in. He's going through the work permit stage at the moment. If we have a little look at him, he's a pretty decent player. I mean, star-wise, he's better than most that we've got at the club. He will absolutely do a good job for us in the centre of defence. 6'2", good jumping reach, heading, marking, tackling, reasonable technique. Yeah, I just think for 3.4 million, you can't really argue with that. 25 years old is a good age as well. If we have a look at business that's been done since you were last with us, we've had some loans going on. So Zach Gilsonen has gone out on loan to Oxford, £375,000 with potential £450,000 loan fee. No, sorry, that's a permanent transfer, not a loan. So he's gone out for £375,000, could potentially rise to £450,000. Joe Hilton is a loan, £23,500 total fee. He's gone to Western United FC. He's our third choice goalkeeper that we don't really want. Thomas Bloxon has gone to Colchester on loan, £1,700 fee. Basically nothing for them, but they're having some of their wages paid and they're out my hair basically. Then Brian Aguirre of Lannis has joined us for $8.5 million, same price as Archie Brown. He's a right back, can play left back, 4 stars, pretty decent. If we have a look at the tactics screen, as you can see there, he does improve us on what we had with Callum Brittain, or Callum Brittain, however you want to pronounce his name. But yeah, and Decina would slot in here beside Scott Wharton, and it just gives us a bit more depth in our defence. And the one thing I will say is that I think with Aguirre, Decina and Brown, we have, just changing that over, we have actually improved our defence this season. We probably could do with having a better goalkeeper, to be fair. But this is pretty much what we're going with. I'm going to be keeping a lookout to see if we can find an improvement here on the right wing, maybe even the left wing. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the squad we've got. I think we've got a decent squad without being amazing. Sam Gallagher is currently unregistered. We have got Tyrus Dolan out injured for another couple of months. He picked up an injury in pre-season, broken ribs, so he's out at the moment. Dominic Hyam is just coming back from injury. He's out for another 6 days. He's another one of our potential centre-backs that we can put in there should we need to. We've actually got a lot of depth at centre-backs. So if anyone came in for some of our centre-backs, Conor O'Riordan, for example, who I don't particularly want to sell, he's a 5-star player, but if someone comes in with around 10 million for us, I'll be quite happy with that. Now, one thing I do want to do with this save is by the end of season 5, I do want to have some good young players in here that we've brought through our youth team. Because when you look at a dev centre, we've got strong under-21s and a strong under-18s. And if we have a look at our under-21 squad, there's some decent looking players in there, especially here where we've got Edmondson, Bieniek, Georgie Gent. I love that name actually, Georgie Gent. How long is he out injured for? He's out for 3 weeks potentially. But Dominic Bieniek we have brought in and given a little bit of game time to in pre-season friendlies. He's actually looked really good. He scored a goal, got an assist as well. I was actually really pleased with him. As you said, we've got players with potential in our under-21s. In our under-18s though, I mean, we've got Dean O'Connor and Daniel Quinlan. Both of these I also gave a game each to in pre-season, 15-year-old and 16-year-old. Daniel Quinlan, he's made some non-competitive appearances so far. He's looking pretty good, 5-star potential. 15-year-old attacking midfielder, potential striker. I'm looking at him being an attacking midfielder. And Dean O'Connor out on the right-hand side in that position there. 1.5-star current ability, but 5-star potential. 16 years old, and he's had one start and 3 sub-appearances. The 1 start has actually been for us in a pre-season friendly. If we look at pre-season friendly, it's been a bit of a mixed bag. We started off pretty decently with Kapfenberger. I think this is an Austrian thing. Yeah, we've done a pre-season tour of Austria. So Kapfenberger we won 2-0. Harry Leonard got both the goals. Then First Vienna FC, we won 2-1. Jake Garrett and Lewis Travis in pretty much a fully rotated starting 11 there. FAC Vine, I presume that's how you pronounce it. A 3-1 win there. Lewis Travis, Harry Leonard and Dominic Biniek, that youngster I was telling you about, getting a start in that game. And yeah, I was really pleased with him. Then SK Rapid, Biniek got a start in there, 7.8 as well. Sammy Smodics with the only goal of the game. Then there was friendlies that I put in. Coventry, we lost 2-1. Disappointing to lose that game. Biniek played that one, only got a 6.5. Then James Garner with the goal. Then Bristol City, we drew 1-1. James Garner with the goal in that game again. Dominic Biniek getting a goal in there. If I'm pronouncing these wrong and you know how to pronounce them, please let me know. I'd love to know how you do pronounce them. Arminia Bielefeld of Germany, we beat them 3-0. Hedges, Smodic and Sigurdsson with the goals in that game. And then against Lugo in a very rotated team, that's where Dean O'Connor and Daniel Quinlan got appearances. We got a 1-1 draw. I was quite happy with that result. And at the end of the day, pre-season friendlies are all about getting fitness into your players and whatever else. And when you look at our squad now, we're looking in pretty decent shape. If we have a look at dynamics, we have very good team cohesion. We have a good club atmosphere and a good managerial support. I am still trying to get rid of Sam Gallagher with little to no success. People only seem to be interested in loans for him. There is a potential that Hayden Carter could end up leaving for Luton. They've been interested in him throughout the transfer window, but they've not put in a bid for him yet. If we actually have a look at him, 8.25 is the fee we said we'll accept. I don't really want to sell him because I think he's worth a lot more than that. But if Luton do come in for, or anyone comes in for him, for that price, we will have to sell him. But Docina would then be a replacement for Carter. And that's pretty much all there is to bring you, I think. Everything else is what it was before. Morale is looking quite good. If we have a look at the schedule, as I said before, we start off against Aston Villa. We got them today. It's 3 o'clock now, so we're about to kick off. The draw for the Carabao Cup second round has taken place. We're playing away from home against League One Preston, and I am going to be looking at playing some youngsters in the Carabao Cup. So if we have any sort of a run in the Carabao Cup, it will give them a chance at first team action as well. So yeah, I will see you in part 2 after this transition, where I'll bring you up to speed on how the first half of the season went. We'll come back around the next time we play Aston Villa on the 1st of January. I will let you know then if there's any more signings we made before the end of the transfer window and how the first half of the season's gone on. Wish me luck, and I'll see you shortly. Well, I don't think that's too bad at all. 6th in the Premier League, 38 points from 20 games, 12 wins, 2 draws, 6 defeats. We'll have a look at the schedule in a minute. But overall, considering we're meant to attempt to avoid relegation, so we're expected to be around here, I'm actually really delighted with that. What I will bring your attention to, though, is how badly Arsenal are doing. Mikel Arteta, I know, has already been sacked. How badly Newcastle are doing, down in 16th position. Even Chelsea have only recently gone above us. They've been 7th, 8th for a little while. But if we go and have a look at the schedule, so we started the season off against Aston Villa with a 3-1 defeat. Arne Sigurdsson getting a goal, the goal for us. He's now left the club, by the way, but we'll get to that in a moment. We'll talk about transfers. Then we had a couple of wins. Sheffield United, I was kind of thinking we would win. A 3-0 win. Harry Leonard, Archie Brown and James Garner with the goal in there. Then we played Tottenham, who were top of the Premier League at the time and may even still be top of the Premier League now. We'll have a look in a moment. James Garner, Archie Brown on the score sheet, and Yassine Benrahu. Now that's going to be an unfamiliar name for you, but he is someone we signed before the transfer deadline closed. And again, we'll get to that when we go through transfers, but you're going to see his name popping up every now and then. Then we played Preston in the Carabao Cup, beat them 4-0. Joe Rankin Costello over penalty. Dominic Biniek getting on the score sheet. As you can see here, we did bring in a few of our younger players. Kambwala played in that game. Bieniek, Daniel Quinlan also played as well. So yeah, Joanne Costello, Lewis Travis got sent off. Dominic Bieniek, Harry Leonard and James Garner with the goals in that one. Then we got brought back down to earth with a bit of a bump against Newcastle. I think it's probably our biggest defeat of the season, 4-0. We were completely and utterly outplayed in this game. It was 0-0, up, as you can see, up until 1 minute into injury time at the end of the first half. We were doing reasonably well. But then in the second half, they just ran away with it. Fulham was next, a 1-1 draw. Sammy Smodic with the goal in that game. Then we played Nottingham Forest. A 5-0 win against Nottingham Forest. Harry Leonard, Sammy Smodic with a couple, an own goal and Archie Brown on the score sheet. Then we played Arsenal in the Carabao Cup third round and lost narrowly 2-1. Then we played Brentford in the Premier League and lost narrowly to them at 3-2. As you see, Harry Leonard and James Garner on the score sheet. Then we had a couple of wins. We beat Leicester 4-0 and we beat Leeds 1-0. Again, games that we were kind of expecting to win is what we have won. Then we played Brighton, a 2-2 draw there. Yassine Benrahu on the score sheet again, as he was as the only goal scorer against Leicester. Then we played Arsenal in the league and beat them 3-1 with a more familiar looking side there. Then Burnley in the in our local derby, basically, they're our rivals. Is it the East Lancashire derby? I'm sure if you're a Blackburn Rovers or Burnley fan, you'll let me know in the comments whether I've got that right or wrong. Then we played Chelsea and lost 3-0. Then we played Manchester City and I just couldn't believe what I was watching in this game. 4-2 win against Manchester City, and two of their goals came when we was already 3-0 up, and then they scored 2 goals in a minute with Julian Alvarez. But then Lewis Travis in the 98th minute just confirming us as winners. Like I say, an amazing result. That for me is result of the season. Then back down to earth again by losing 2-0 to Manchester United. And Chelsea, Man City, Man United, I was expecting to go on a bit of a losing run there. But, you know, we won the game in between, so I can't complain too much. Then Bournemouth, we won 2-1. West Ham, we won 4-1. Harry Leonard continuing to get goals for his asses, Smodic and Benrahu. Then we played Crystal Palace, a narrow 1-0 win with a Mark Guehi own goal. Then we lost to Liverpool. Smodic scored again. It was an own goal, but he scored. And then most recently we played Sheffield United with a 3-1 win, 2 from Benrahu and 1 from Hayden Carter. So that's how the season's got at the moment. Out of the Carabao Cup in the third round. We've got the FA Cup to come with a tie against Sheffield Wednesday. And yeah, in terms of the Premier League, yeah, Tottenham top, Liverpool second, just 2 points behind, and Manchester United are third, just 3 points behind Tottenham, and then Man City. You kind of feel that probably will be the top 4. Chelsea will obviously compete with it as well. I do expect us to fall off in the second half of the season once injuries and suspensions take a hold, although we have already had a fair share of injuries and suspensions. If we go to the transfer section and the transfer history, we'll get to the new signings shortly. But in terms of players that went out since you were last with me, Jared Harlock went out on loan to Gillingham, no cost. Junior Sangu went to Ayr United on a loan. He's then also picked up a massive 7-month-long injury while he was there, and he's going to be out for a while. And then Arne Sigurdsson has gone to Mallorca for 6.75 million, and he has been massively injury prone. He's I can't actually look at his report now, but basically since the start of the season he's had like 5 injuries. There's not been big injuries, but he wasn't even listed as being injury prone, but he certainly is. And yeah, we've just had to get rid of him basically because he just wasn't playing enough for us, and we got him on a free transfer. If we can click on him, if we look at his history, he arrived with us on a free transfer last season. Wasn't one of my signings, but basically he's done that with us this season. We've made 7 million or 6.7 million pound profit. Now, the one thing that I do have an issue, I'll get to that in a moment. Actually, we'll carry on with the signings. So you knew about Brown, Kambwala, and Aguirre. We also then brought in Yassine Benrahu from Hajduk Split for 2.5 million. And if we have a look at him, he is a really good player. Play anywhere along that attacking three. Could even fill in as a striker if wanted to. He's also great at taking corners and free kicks. And yeah, if we look at him here from a league perspective, 18 appearances, 8 goals, 4 assists, 5 player of the match awards at 7.21 for 2.5 million. You cannot complain about that at all. If we look at the tactics, just have a look at our new signings that we've made. Brian Aguirre, who came in, 19 appearances, no goals, 3 assists, 6.86. He's been solid for the 8.5 million that he came in for. Archie Brown has been amazing. I love this player. He really is incredible. 19 games, 4 goals, 6 assists, 5 player of the match awards at 7.43. He's been playing for the England under 21s, 8.5 million again. I think he might be making his senior England debut at some point in the summer. So Archie Brown, Brian Aguirre, we've already gone through. James Garner was obviously a big money signing. He was 20 million and 20 appearances, 4 goals, 4 assists, 1 player match, 7.35. Again, he's just been really solid. He's been really good before us in that midfield, partnering either Travis or Joe Rankin Costello. Yassine Benra, who we've already been through, and that is basically a new. So I mean, Camboila's not really played a great deal. He's not made a league appearance. He's made a couple of cup appearances, but that's kind of what we knew. He's a youngster ready for the future, same as Conor O'Riordan. But Harry Leonard is our main out-and-out striker. 20 appearances, 8 goals, 4 assists, 1 player of the match balls at 6.99. Let's call that a 7. If he can score another 8 goals in the second half of the season and end up with 16 goals for the season, I'll be pretty happy with that. In fact, I'll be delighted with it. What I do want to pick up is on the whole finance thing. So our overall balance is 21 million. It's, as you can see here, it's been going up and up and up all season. This here where it says about the transfer revenue that's made available, which basically means if you sell a player, the transfer revenue made available is what you get back in your transfer budget. So if we sold a player for 10 million, for example, this originally was 10%. So if we sold a player for 10 million, we would only get 1 million of that made available in a transfer budget, which is no use to me. I need more than that. I did go to the board and ask them to raise that, and they've raised it to 25%. So still not enthralled by it, but at least it is 25% that we will now keep, because otherwise at such a low rate, 10%, 25%, whatever, it's hardly worth me selling anybody, because I'm just getting nothing in the transfer budget. I don't really care about the club's bank balance. I want to know what I'm going to have here. What I also want to bring up as well, and this is more of an issue that probably nothing Sports Interactive can do about it, but this whole email you get here. So as you said, we're 6th in the table. We're currently on attempt to avoid relegation. They're giving us the option to avoid a relegation battle, or we can up it to a mid-table finish, top half finish, qualify for Europa League, and that's as high as it goes. Now, at the moment, if we attempt to avoid relegation, we're on 3.54 million and 819,000 in our wage budget. If I put that up to mid-table finish, which, you know, I wouldn't be confident about that, they're only raising the transfer budget by 1.1 million and the wage budget by £80,000. There's no point in me taking a risk with that, considering if I failed, I'd end up losing my job. There's no point potentially losing my job for an extra 1.1 million in the transfer budget. So we just confirm that as it is at the moment. What I also want to show you as well, we had the email come through for the youth intake preview. This is what they're telling me, that it's an excellent intake. This is a terrific group of players coming through and has the potential to be a real golden generation for the club. And this is how it's going to be distributed. 2 left backs, 3 centre backs, 1 right back, 2 central midfielders, 2 attacking midfielders. And according to this here, fullbacks is an A. At least one of our fullbacks has plenty of promise. Strikers, we have a forward who could be considered a fine prospect. I'm not expecting this to amount to anything at all. I've seen enough of these previews where it says, oh, it's an excellent intake, it'll be a golden generation. And then when it comes through, it's below average. And it's like 2 stars or something silly like that. So I'll show you what the actual youth intake is when it comes through. That'll be in part 3 of this video. But that's at least what we're being told at the moment. Now, what we're also being told is that, what was I just going to say? Oh, yeah. So I'm going to go back to me inbox a minute, because there was a player that I was looking at signing. And this guy here, Alberto De Sena, he was available for 3.3 million. And I think 3.3 million for this centre-back, 26-year-old Italian, I think that's a pretty decent player, to be perfectly honest. So I was happy to sign him. He's got potential to be a 3.5-star player as well. And yeah, I was absolutely looking forward to him coming through. And just as we was about to confirm it, Calgary, the club he is at, they were under transfer embargo due to a potential takeover. Now, I've no idea whether that takeover's gone through. I've no interest in that whatsoever. But we basically couldn't sign him because of that transfer embargo. So we lost out on Alberto De Sena. So I wasn't happy with that, because I thought for 3.4 million, that would be an absolute steal. If we have a look at our new players, by the way, just have a look at what they're worth now that they're here compared to what we paid for them. So Brian Aguirre is 17 to 18 million, and we got him for 8.5 million. For Archie Brown, who again was 8.5 million, I believe, he's now worth 15 to 18 million. James Garner, who we spent 20 million on, could potentially be 35 million depending on appearances and stuff. 44 to 50 million currently for him. And Yassine Benrahou, who I think 2.5 million was that? Yeah, for 2.5 million, and he's now worth 15 to 17 million as well. We've got some pretty decent valuations there for players. Now, we have got some players that are potentially going to be leaving. So Lewis Travis, who pretty much is a first team regular, he's wanted by Saudi Arabia, or he was wanted by Saudi Arabian club. It's now Crystal Palace and Wolves. I think we can fight them off. But he is someone that could potentially be leaving in January. Ainsley Pearce is another one. Yeah, this is Al Ittihad. They're potentially going to come in for him. I'm kind of thinking we might sell him if they come in. We've got Leopold Wallstead that can take that place, and we'd obviously look to buy new goalkeepers as a replacement. Semir Televic is wanted on loan by a few clubs, and Dylan Markande is wanted at the end of his contract by other clubs. He is one of several players whose contracts expire at the end of the season. If I just show you who they are, we've got Dominic Hyam, not worth keeping him around. Joe Hilton will definitely be leaving. Dylan Markande, as I say, he'll probably be leaving as well. He does have a bit of potential. Sam Gallagher will definitely be leaving as well. So them four players will be leaving at the end of their contracts. It's going to free up, £80,000 in the wage budget as well. So, and there's not much of a transfer value to them. If we can get anything for them in January, obviously we will, but we're not going to hold our breath for it. So that is pretty much all there is that I need to show you. So I'm now going to play forward through the rest of the season, and I'll see you after this transition for part 3. And where do you think we're going to finish in the Premier League? And we have qualified for the Europa Conference League next season. I am delighted. I'm absolutely thrilled by this. So we finished 7th with 20 wins, 6 draws and 12 defeats. We scored 71, conceded 57. Goal difference of 14, finishing on 66 points. 6 points clear of Aston Villa in 8th. Only 2 behind Arsenal, who have had somewhat of a resurgence since Mikel Arteta got the boot. And 3 points behind Chelsea in 5th. Tottenham have won the league. Can you believe that? With 92 points. Manchester City have only got 80 points. I mean, they were poor, Manchester City. They really were. In terms of who's gone down, Burnley, our local rivals, have gone down. Nottingham Forest and Leicester City have also gone down. Leicester City, obviously one of the teams that came up last season, along with Leeds, who just about survived. In terms of who's coming up from the Championship to who's going to be in this league next year, Wolves, Norwich and Everton, by the looks of it, are going to be coming up next season. So Wolves and Everton you would have expected to have come up, and Norwich I don't think is too much of a shock. Anyway, Coventry, Plymouth and Cardiff have gone down. If we go to our schedule and have a look at how we've done since the 1st of January when you was last with us. So we played Aston Villa, won 2-1 away from home. Sammy Smodics and Therese Dolan with the goals. Then we had an FA Cup third round game against Sheffield Wednesday where we won 3-0. We actually got to the FA Cup final. We lost to Tottenham. Spoiler alerts and all that sort of stuff. Then after the game against Sheffield Wednesday, we lost to Tottenham. I mean, that seems to be a regular thing. We did beat them early on in the season. I'm pretty certain we beat them early on in the season. Yeah, we did beat them 3-1, but couldn't do it later on. So we lost 2-1 to Tottenham. Then we lost 3-1 to Newcastle. Then a 2-1 win in the FA Cup fourth round against Southampton. Then a 3-2 thriller against Fulham, where at our ground, own goal from Issa Diop and then Hayden Carter and James Garner getting on the score sheet. James Garner's also won the Players Player of the Year and the Footballers Player of the Year. He's had an amazing season, James Garner. Then a 2-0 win against Nottingham Forest and a 2-0 win against Brentford, followed by a 2-2 draw against Leicester. Considering how low down in the table they are, that's quite a disappointing result. Then a 4-2 win against Leeds. And then we had an FA Cup fifth round game against Manchester City, in which we won 3-1 after extra time. Then we played Brighton away from home in the Premier League, 3-0 win in that one. Then a 1-1 draw with Arsenal in the Premier League. Then an FA Cup quarter-final that we drew 1-1 after extra time and then went through on penalties against Chelsea. Then the Premier League again, this time a 2-1 loss to Chelsea. A 2-1 win against Burnley, our local rivals. Then our season kind of started falling away a little bit. Injuries, suspensions, general tiredness, whatever else, just really catching up with us. A 2-0 defeat against Manchester City, a 3-0 defeat against Manchester United. I mean, these are games that I would kind of expect to lose anyway. Then a 2-1 win in the FA Cup semi-final against Everton, before then suffering a shock 3-1 defeat against Bournemouth. We then turned it around to win 2-1 at home against West Ham, but then a 2-2 draw away to Crystal Palace and a 2-2 draw at home to Liverpool is how we ended the league season. And then we had the FA Cup final against Tottenham, losing 3-2 in that game. And if we just have a look at the stats, I mean, Tottenham were vastly superior to us. But that James Maddison missed a penalty. João Felix then scored a penalty for them just inside the second half. Hayden Carter then got an equaliser. Son then put them 2-1 up before Ben Rahu then made it 2-2. I then thought it was going to be going to extra time, but James Maddison in the 88th minute making it 3-2 to Tottenham, giving them the FA Cup and breaking Blackburn hearts. I'll say breaking Blackburn hearts. Again, we go back to the league. The fact that we finished seventh, it's been an amazing season. It's been a great season. We're in the Conference League next season. It is awesome. It then meant that we was awaiting budgets to come through. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, if I'm being realistic, we need 50 to 60 million to kind of stay around the same kind of area as our transfer budget for next season. Then I clicked on the budgets. We've been given a transfer budget of £90 million. Our wage budget, if you go by the committed spending, is going to be £140,000 left to spend. So we will need to move some of this transfer budget down into wage budget. And I'm kind of looking at it at the moment. I'd like to have £1 million wage budget, which means with a £1 million wage budget, that means we've got £250,000 to spend. We've still got £84 million effectively in the transfer budget. We've got £64 million in the bank. The money's just, as you can see, has been going up and up and up all season. Our financial status, as you see up here, is rich. If we look at our projections, it's just going up season after season. 64 million now, then 89 million, then 109 million. If we have a look at our debts and loans, our transfer debt, 11.7 million. And that's basically not moved from when we got here. So we're in a really good position financially, which is where I want to leave the club. If we look at the Dev Centre and at our youth intake, we did have a pretty decent youth intake, to be fair. It was rated excellent. We've had 2 5-star potential players, a centre-back and a left-back. We've got a 4-star potential right-sided inside forward and a 3.5-star potential right-back in Brett Cooper, and then a few stocking fillers down here. They're classed as good talents. I suppose Josh Cox and Chris Moran could end up becoming something, but Andy Foster, centre-back, he's only 6 foot. What will be interesting is, remember that now, that at the end of season 2, at the age of 15, Andy Foster is 6 foot and weighs 11 stone. I would expect him to grow as a minimum. But let's see by the end of season 5 whether he's any taller or whether he weighs any more. Because I personally don't believe this changes, but I've never really tested it, so we'll test it now. Good bravery, is pretty low on determination, it has to be said. He can play in the midfield and defensive midfield areas. Like I say, 15 years old, turns 16 in June. Craig Jones as a left back, again 6 foot, okayish determination. His attributes are all going in a good positive direction, which is wonderful to see. They're the 2 that we really need to try and bring through. Then we've got Adam Beckett, who again can play anywhere along that attacking midfield area, can also play up top. He's only got 10 for determination, so that's not particularly great, but who knows? Let's wait and see. And Brett Cooper as the right back, again, he's only got 11 for determination. He could end up being, his attributes are going up, to be fair, so we want to get his physicals up, obviously. 5'7", an enthusiastic fullback. Let's see how they turn out. So a pretty reasonable youth intake, it has to be said, overall. In terms of the medical centre, we did get some injuries. I mean, it's saying 50 injuries. We just seem to have everything happen all at the same time. You know, we got injuries in clusters, and it was just, you know, the fact that Yassine Benrahu got injured not long after. Well, there you go. It was actually on the 1st of January. It was during the match with Aston Villa. He broke his ribs. He was out for 7 weeks. That really did affect us. Therese Dolan as well broke his ribs. That was on the 27th of July, so that was before the season actually started. If we do it by, filter it by date, and you can see like here, from between the 16th and the 25th of April, so what, 9 days, we had 5 injuries all come in at the same time. A slight one to James Garner, a minor one to Harry Pickering, Dominic Hine with a major one, and then 2 moderate ones, Lewis Travis and Hadegar. Lewis Travis, by the way, I need to put in some thought as to whether we want to keep him or not. He's a really good player. I really like Lewis Travis, but his disciplinary record has been horrendous. He's had 12 yellow cards and 2 red cards this season. In terms of his performances, 6.84, 1 goal, 2 assists as a ball-winning midfielder from 30 appearances, 23 of those being starts. Yeah, I just need to put in some thought as to whether I want him to stick around or not. Then we just have a focus on a couple of players. We've got Harry Leonard. I'm not too worried about all of these going down because we're kind of out of season now. But Harry Leonard, he's got 16 goals, so it was more than what he got last season from 1 game more. He also got 6 assists this time at 6.89. I don't know if he's improving enough to be a first choice striker. He might be someone that we look at replacing in the summer and having him as a bit of a backup option that can also play in the attacking midfield areas as well. Therese Dolan, who when Sigurdsson went out, kind of came in as our main left-sided winger forward player. As you see, he's got amazing acceleration. His pace is getting better. If we have a look at him as well, 9 goals, 5 assists at 6.95 from 32 appearances. 31 of those were starts. James Garner, I've got to show you him because he has been immense. Signing of the season for me. 37 appearances, 36 of those were starts. 10 goals, 5 assists, 4 player of the match awards at 7.37. Archie Brown as well is a contender for sign of the season. 30, bearing in mind he's a left back, 32 appearances, 5 goals, 8 assists, 7 player of the match awards at 7.30. And for only 8.5 million, is, you know, James Garner cost us 20 million. Then you have Yassine Benrahu, who again, if you're talking value for money, 2.5 million, 26 appearances, all starts, 8 goals, 7 assists, 5 player of the match awards at 7.12. That's 15 goal contributions from 26 games. He was fantastic. So in terms of what I want to do in the transfer window, I want to bring in a goalkeeper. I basically want to make this defence better, because if we look at our season stats, goals scored 71, that was the second best in the league. Goals conceded 57, that was a 10th worst, was mid-table. So that quite clearly shows that we need to improve on the goals that we concede. We also had the second worst yellow card count with 68, and second worst red cards with 3 red cards as well. Other than that, really happy with how things went. We'll go through all of this when we get to the end of season review. But yeah, looking at the tactics, like I say, goalkeeper, defence, really do want to bolster that and improve that significantly. And I'm kind of looking for someone to improve our striker as well. If we can get someone in that's going to score us 20 to 25 goals a season in the league, that would be incredible. But we have to be realistic. Now we will go to the end of season review and have a look at that. And here we are for the end of season review. No little trophy here this year, but that's fine. New arrivals, James Garner has got signed a season A+, 32 million. He could end up costing us overall 20 million up front. In all competitions, 44 appearances, 11 goals, 8 assists, 7.36. Archie Brown, very close to taking that title from him. 8.5 million, 38 appearances in all competitions, 7 goals, 8 assists. Yassine Benrahu, there's quite a spiel here. The board are very pleased with the deal to sign Yassine Benrahu. We are pleased to see that the minimum fee release clause of 15.5 would mean an excellent deal for the club should it ever be triggered. So again, all of that, the board's opinion is always finance based, which frustrates me. But either way, 2.5 million, 30 appearances, 9 goals, 8 assists, 7.09. Brian Aguirre from Lanús, 8.5 million, 43 appearances, 2 goals, 5 assists at 6.90. He was very good. He was very solid. Them 4 players that we brought in, I'm delighted with those players. In terms of players that have gone out, Arne Sigurdsson went for 6.75 million, the only one of any real value. So we're not going to worry too much about the rest of those, and I'm not going to really worry about loans either. If we look at a season to remember, finished 7th. There you go. There we are. A+, as it should be as well. We was to attempt to avoid relegation from the Premier Division, and we ended up qualifying for Europe. If it's good enough for West Ham, it's certainly good enough for Blackburn. Biggest win of the season, 5-0 against Nottingham Forest. Match to remember was a 3-1 win against Tottenham, and the goal of the season was from Travis. Travis provides a perfect finish to an excellent team move by scoring a daisy cutter from 19 metres. That was in a 4-2 win in the Premier Division against Manchester City. Reputation, apparently we stayed with the same reputation. No new sponsorship deals, but in terms of our annual revenue, the sponsorship has gone up slightly. There's been a massive increase in broadcast revenue from 2.8 million last season to 90.68 million this season. Welcome to the Premier League. Corporate and hospitality has gone up a bit. Competition prize money has gone up significantly. And match day commercial and retail has gone up slightly as well. We made 1.45 million in merchandise. Garner, Smodics, Dolan, Benrahu and Rankin Costello among our best shirt sales. The fact that Benrahu came in for 2.5 million, performed the way he did and contributed to significant shirt sales. I mean, his signing just gets better and better, it really does. How we lined up, we've only got 3 players that are in the green, but everyone else is pretty close to it, to be fair. And they've gone with Piers in goal, Brown and Aguirre in the fullback positions, Wharton and Carter in the centre of defence, Travis and Garner in the centre of midfield with Dolan and Benrahu out wide, Smodics in behind Harry Leonard. Probably wouldn't argue with any of that. In terms of record breakers, Archie Brown has broke the record for most player of the match awards in the season with 7. Lewis Travis has broken the record for the worst discipline. I am not surprised at that. 12 yellow cards and 2 red cards. Youngest player, Daniel Quinlan, 16 years and 11 days. And James Edmondson, the youngest ever goal scorer, I think he got that goal against Tottenham. I'm not 100% certain, but I think it was. 19 years old and 127 days. In terms of the awards, James Garner, the fans player of the season. James Garner at 24 years old is also the young player of the season. I'm assuming he's not going to be able to win that next season. Sign of the season was James Garner. I mean, it's the season of James Garner, really, isn't it? Goal of the season was Lewis Travis, as we know. Top goal scorer, Harry Leonard with 18 goals. Most assists, James Garner with 8. Most player of the match awards was Archie Brown with 7. Highest average rating was James Garner at 7.4. And most passes completed per 90 minutes, Hayden Carter, who despite interest from Luton and Saudi Arabia and wherever else, still remains a player for us at the moment. I also won a manager of the month as well. History in the making. Blackburn started better than anyone would have expected and rarely slipped up thereafter. An ultimately successful season for Blackburn started superbly and set them up perfectly for what was to follow. And there's a manager timeline, which I never pay much attention to. If we have a look at the supporter profile, the hardcore has gone down, is now 10%. The core has gone down, is now 35%. Family has gone up to 20%. Fair weather has gone up to 16%. 2% corporate, 17% casual. Supporters' influence on the board is still low. Social media following has gone up a little bit. And there's their season ticket things as well. The club's vision for the future. So the end of next season, they want to at least reach the knockout stages of the Europa Conference League. Okay. And avoid relegation from the Premier Division. We'll just accept, basically. We're on course and delighted and pleased with everything there. Dynamics, as you see, is looking amazing. Discuss plans for next season. Thank you all for coming. Blah, 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 blah. Premier Division. We just want to say we want to avoid relegation. We're good enough to not be relegated next season, and that will be our likely target. Next time we want... we'll say that one. There you go. They're happy with that. That's exactly the reaction we're after. Nothing else to talk about, so I don't want to push my luck. A team talk actually went well. If you've watched any of my content in the past, that may surprise you. Right, we had Austria last time round. I think we'll go Netherlands this time round, mainly because we should be able to get some decent matches in the Netherlands as well. Staff numbers update. I'm allowed to have a couple of extra coaches and an extra recruitment analyst. And then we've got this one. So I'm pushing for Nikola Kavlina as a goalkeeper, 4 stars. I think it'll be 3.5 star if we have him on... Oh no, Super King on Sport is 4 stars. He looks pretty decent. I did put in a bid for him. Now, I would put in a bid for 2.5 million, I think it was. I don't really want to go that high. I will go that high if I have to, but let's see if I can get him for a little bit less. We go for 4 million. Oh, there you go. They've accepted that. So, sneak peek for episode 3 next Sunday at 2 p.m. Looks like we might be having our goalkeeper, Nikola Kavlina, 22-year-old goalkeeper from Lokomotiva. And yeah, join me next week for episode 3, for season 3, our second season in the Premier League, our first season in Europe, and we'll also see what players we bring in and let go. And yeah, we're going to have a whole lot of fun. Please leave a like on the video, folks. Subscribe to the channel, all that sort of amazing stuff. And I'll see you next week for episode 3. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.